One of the most important things about being successful in Deep of Night is setting up your relics correctly. So this video is going to be a guide on how to set up your relics. I'm going to start with general recommendations for every single character, things that I always avoid, and then I'll go through each Nightfarer individually. Full transparency, I don't like all of them, and I don't play all of them. So some sections will be a deeper dive than others, but I have friends who play the characters that I don't, and I have screenshots of their builds, so I will walk you through what they do and why, and then I'll explain just my perspective of playing with that character and what I like other people doing versus what I don't like. So let's first start in a general sense. I always run Night Invaders, always. Because whatever map you get, there are Night Invaders on it. I do Night Invaders immediately on level 2. If it wasn't ridiculous, I would skip the starting camp and do those invaders on level 1. I'll go all the way across the map just to do the invaders on level 2. And a lot of other people do the same. So if you're playing with friends or randoms, running invaders is one of the best strategies that you can do. If you can fit it, you can also run jails, but not everybody runs those anymore. Max HP for every enemy defeated at a Great Church is good if it fits in with other things. There are some builds that are max HP builds, so that's an option if you don't mind doing it alone. But I will be honest, it's a little annoying to play with people who are never with the team because they're just chasing around more health. So I run that, but only if it fits in with something else cool. Physical attack up is going to be your best friend, so get that on your deep relics as much as you can. Affinity attack up is also good. You should make a generic skill build that just stacks affinity attack up, because then whatever type of skill you get, magic, holy, lightning, or fire, it gets a boost. Other things to note, I do run balancer relics. I never run both anymore, but I have some friends that do, like Wylder running both is good. I'll run the red one just to have that safety if I'm doing skills, like if it's Caligo or Pest or something that I just want to blast with a cool skill. Otherwise, I don't really run it. Things that I will avoid no matter what, like as soon as I see the relic, I'll delete it immediately. I won't even keep it. Continuous HP loss, and then repeated evasions, because that one stacks. Lower attack when below max health isn't that bad. Poison and rot buildup below max health are pretty bad, because imagine you're in fighting the Night Lord, it's the very end, everybody's dead on the floor, and it's just you, and you have poison buildup because you're below max health. So now it's like you're fighting against the poison buildup and the boss. It's just not a good strategy. It's killed me too many times. Near death reduces max HP. I will run if it's a really cool relic. Otherwise, I'm not gonna really bother with it because that one also stacks. For the damage negation ones, I never run continuous HP loss. I never run all resistances down because I like to run things that have like death or frost or madness buildup or sleep, and then that's gonna kill you even faster. So I never run that. And then if you're running all resistances down and you get worm face, like you can't even really participate in the fight. Reduced damage negation after flash and reduced damage negation after evasion is fine. I'll run that. I never run repeated evasions lowers damage negation because it stacks on top of itself. It just stacks over and over and over and over, and it has a pretty decent cooldown, so I will not touch that one. Any kind of taking damage causes whatever buildup, always run it. Even if it's death buildup, I always run it. The only time I would caution you with these is if you're like a tougher character like Guardian or Raider or sometimes Wylder, because it can actually proc. If you're like Recluse or Revenant or Duchess, you'll probably die first before any of that ever procs on you, so it doesn't really matter. So just keep that in mind. And then for the attributes, I just use my best judgment. If it's a really good relic, I'll take the hit. If not, I won't. I usually don't run reduced vigor and arcane if I can avoid it, like almost all the time. And then reduced runes, that one's tough because you're gonna be under leveled in the beginning, but I've run it plenty of times and it's fine, so it's up to you. So now let's talk about the specific Nightfarers. So let's start with Iron Eye. There are 3 things that I think every Iron Eye needs. It's +1 additional character skill use, starting armament inflicts poison, and then on your deep relics, character skill inflicts heavy poison damage on poison enemies. And then other than that, physical attack up and Night Invaders, because Iron Eye's hits are actually physical. And Rivers of Blood is also a good deal of physical damage. So if you like bows and you like Rivers of Blood, put physical attack up on your deep relics. Other than that, you could give him more stamina, you could boost his arcane, you could boost his dexterity. If you can fit it, if the relic is good enough, you can run jails, but that's really it. So I have a regular Iron Eye, and then I also have a Rivers of Blood Iron Eye. So I have the red balancer relic on this, and then I have my +1 character skill use, my Night Invaders. So I still start with the poison bow setup, but on my deep relics, I have Dormant Power helps discover katanas, and then just a bunch of physical attack up. So the only difference between this and my regular build is that hopefully I find a Rivers of Blood, and other than that, it's the same. Oh, and I will also say with Iron Eye that you can customize his starting bow so that it does bleed or frost or whatever, and that's cool and all, but I think that the poison is necessary because of that deep relic. And some people try to do it where they have like poison on ult, but I don't think that's really worthwhile. I think just do a poison bow and hope you get a different bow if you're into it. Okay, let's switch to Recluse. So I love running Recluse in Deep and Night because she's so cool. I have this tank Recluse build that I'm running right now. So the things that I will definitely have on my Recluse, I'll have invaders, and I always run activating ult raises max HP because you get a huge boost in health, and then the health doesn't go away until you get hit. So if you don't get hit for like 3 more minutes, you're walking around with a ton of health, and it can make that next hit tankable for you so that you don't get killed immediately. So I think that one is really important. And then I'll just run some kind of like intelligence up, more FP, jails if I can fit it. In this one, I have a cool relic where I get increased attack power when I ult, and then it has jails on the same thing. I also love running slowly restore HP for self and allies when HP is low on any character, because that's just helpful to keep people at full health so that their damage negation is intact. And on my deep relics for Recluse, I do not run any magic attack up. I run all improved sorceries, +1 or +2, because that also boosts your cocktail. So it boosts your spells and your cocktails. Magic attack isn't going to boost the cocktails. And then I've also been playing around with this last one where it improves vigor, endurance, and dex, and you sacrifice like 10% damage, which seems like a lot, but it's better to not die, so I'm running it. And also more dex gives you faster casting speed, which can also help you from dying. And then also with Recluse, sometimes I run a Dormant Power helps discover seals. Like if I'm really gonna go hard on the cocktails, especially if it's Libra or something, I'll keep everything the same. So improve sorceries, the ult thing, Night Invaders, and then I'll have Dormant Power discover seals. So then I can do all the mixing and get really powerful cocktails from that. Okay, now let's talk about Revenant. So some people are really into Lightning Spear Revenant. I'm not, I'll tell you why, but if you want this build, you need changes, compatible armaments, incant to Lightning Spear, and then all improved Dragon Cult incantations on your relics, and also invaders. If you don't have any Dragon Cult ones, lightning attack up. The reason I don't like this one, although it's super powerful, it misses all the time. So then you're just constantly missing, and it's not worth it to me. But I do have it just in case I feel like running it. I run Beastclaw Revenant. So for this, you need a few things. You need changes incant to Beastclaw, obviously. You need Night Invaders, and then some combination of improved bestial incants and or physical attack up. So on this one, I have really good bestial incant relics. So the rest of it is great, so that's why I run that. But I also have a Beastclaw build where it's just a bunch of physical attack up +4, because beast incants are physical. So when you're in the world or when you're setting up your relics, any physical attack power is awesome for Revenant. I personally don't worry about any of the Revenant specific relics. If you can fit them, cool, but I don't think any are totally essential. Beastclaw barely uses any FP at all, and you can just buy some shards, so I don't think even FP up is essential. Let's switch to Scholar. So I was really into Scholar for a while. I'm off him currently, but I have some really good relics to share with you. So you have a couple options with Scholar. I'll tell you about Bloodblade Scholar and Pot Scholar. I prefer Pot Scholar because using Bloodblade actually takes some of your health, which then makes you killable. So I don't really run that one. But with Scholar, I think the continuous damage inflicted on targets threaded by ult is essential to run. It is so helpful just for doing anything that I would always run it. The other Scholar relics I don't think are that useful unless you have like Night Invaders or Jails or Pots or something else that matters to you on that relic. Allies targeted by character skill get boosted attack is pretty good if you have a good relic for it. If you don't, I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't do the earn runes or the prevent slowing of character skill. I think that that's just a waste of a spot. Reduce FP consumption when using your skill on yourself. I wouldn't do that either. When I play Scholar, I always use the skill on the enemy to drop their damage to help my team, not buff myself. So just the continuous damage one. And then for Pot Scholar, throwing pot damage is what you want. Any kind of throwing pot damage, any kind of vigor, Jails if you can fit it, definitely Night Invaders. If you don't have a cool throwing pot one, fire attack up is good. If you can fit it somewhere, like I have this cool one with throwing pots +1 and defeating enemies fills more of the Arcgauge +1, that is really helpful. Pretty straightforward. If you're running Bloodblade, I would run one or both of the balancers, and then maybe run the relic that gives you continuous HP recovery if you can fit it. It's not my favorite though, so I would combo that with pots if I were running Bloodblade. All right, let's talk about Duchess now. So Duchess was my main for a while until I started exploring with other characters, so I have a lot of different builds for her. I have a Fulgur specific build, and I actually really recommend that you do that regardless of who you prefer to play against Fulgur, because it's not that easy to find lightning. So I make sure that I start with lightning so then I can stagger him out of that annoying power-up thing that he does. So I start with bleed and I start with lightning, or you could do frost and lightning. So then I can help out more in the beginning with frost or bleed, and then the lightning is good for knocking Fulgur out of his stuff. I always run Night Invaders. I run Jails if I can fit it, but I usually can't. Stamina recovery on landing attacks is good because she lands a lot of attacks. And then for my deep relics, I usually just run a bunch of physical attack up. Even if I'm doing affinities, like this one I have a combo, I did the lightning attack up in the middle because the rest of it is really good. But I just want to do a bunch of damage and get rid of things as quickly as possible. So physical attack up is usually what's on all my deep relics. So that's my Fulgur specific build. Okay, editing Amora here, I just wanted to say that if you're running a skill build, I would put affinity attack up on your deep relics. I do physical attack up because I'm usually meleeing as Duchess, but if you're doing a skill build, you want that extra skill power. So you could maybe combine physical and affinity, but just so you know what I mean. I also make a build for basically every character. So I have a Gladius one, and it looks similar. I start with either Bleed or Frost. For Gladius, I do run the red balancers because if it's Everdark Gladius, I want that 20% chance to not die randomly, and then I'll probably hope for a Blade of Calling, and I'll want the skill power. And then on my deep relics, some combo of affinity attack up, holy attack up, physical attack up. If I have a good one with fire damage negation, I will use that because the fire hits you so hard in the Everdark version. This one I'm playing around with all resistances down, but none of the night bosses for Gladius do any ailments. So I think it's safe to run for him, otherwise I don't run it. I also have a Dreglord specific build, so if you watched my video about Dreglord, you saw me talk about it, but I actually switched it. This is a different build from that video. So in the video, I had Frost on my dagger and then Sacred Blade. This time I have Bleed on my dagger and Flaming Strike. The reason I made that change is Bears and Dancing Lion, which are the night bosses for Dreglord, are weak to fire, not holy. So I can be a little bit more helpful there. And conveniently, I had a cool relic that had jails on it with Flaming Strike. So very useful for me. And then in my deep relics, all physical attack up. That's all I run. As much power as possible. I'm also working on a generic affinity skill build for like a surprise Night Lord. So that's all affinity attack power up. So then I'm flexible with what kind of skill I can use. So I would recommend having that like for your preferred Nightfarer. So like I said, I don't play the rest of the characters, but I can give you an overview. So for Wylder, it's really helpful to have a skill affinity type of Wylder because he could just bring a ton of damage to bosses like Libra, Caligo, Pest, anything like that. For the Wylder specific relics, I would recommend the +1 additional character skill use if you can fit it. Unless you have ones that are really bad, I would try to fit it because 2 claws can do a 1-bar revive. So it can really help you pick up your teammates. Also, art activation spreads fire in the area. That one is so useful for revives. I would almost always make sure you run that. And then the deep one, character skill inflicts blood loss. That's just helpful for like getting rid of condemned in the beginning or staying away from things. So I would run that one too. When I play with Wylders, I see 2 types. I see skill Wylders who are just bringing crazy damage, and then I also see jump attack Wylders with 2 armaments who are just spamming jump attacks and doing a lot of stance damage. So either way you want to play, I think both are good options. Guardian I don't play at all, but if you watched my Dreglord video, I think he is a good pick for Dreglord. So I'm gonna share some relics from my friends, but what I've seen people do that is helpful is successful guards send out shockwaves. That's helpful for picking up teammates that are down because you don't even have to hit them, you just have to stand by them. It is also useful to run slowly restores nearby allies' health while your ult is active. So then you can pick people up and heal them. Here's an example of one of my friend's Guardian builds. So he's got a skills and shield crush build that has Night Invaders, defeating enemies fills more of the arc gauge, double balancers, and then on the deep relics, post damage attacks, that's really helpful, and a bunch of physical attack up. And then he's also running the improved strength relic. So thank you to Rune Bear for sharing your relics with me. And then the other way that he plays, he's got the anti-Draglord build. So my raider friends use the Draglord relic as well, so that might be something to try in your own builds. And then in the deep relics, Draglord does magic damage, so he's got magic damage negation. And if you watch my Draglord video, that is the one thing that's gonna get Guardian is all of the affinity damage. So this is a real tank build. So he's just going to be able to stand there and take all of the punishment while everybody else defeats Draglord. I've watched it. It's amazing. So try that out with your own Guardian builds. For Raider, I have some good friends that run Raider basically all the time. And they will run the damage taken while using character skill improves attack power and stamina. That one is useful because if you're getting hit while you're doing the punch, it can do a 1-bar revive on a teammate. So you can hit the boss and pick up your teammate. And then the only other Raider specific one that I would run is hit with character skill to reduce enemy attack power. But that's not completely necessary if you can't fit it. I would run all physical attack up with Raider. And then the most successful Raiders that I see do jump attacks or charge attacks, depending on your preference. For Raider, this friend does jump attack damage, and his jump attacks are really disgusting. So thank you, Lucas, for sharing your builds with us. So he runs Night Invaders, he runs Jails when he can, and then he also focuses on the Draglord relic again, because he does rot, and then when there's rot in the vicinity, he's more powerful. And then on the deep relics, post damage attacks, very important for any tougher character so that they can survive. And then just a ton of physical attack up. All he looks for when we play is physical attack up, jump attacks, and wielding 2 armaments. And the jump attacks get crazy. And then he's got the same build without the jails on it. So depends on your mood, I guess. I would try to work in jails if you can, but sometimes it's really difficult to work it in. So I don't usually run jails. As for Executor, I'm a terrible Executor, but I've seen 2 good categories of Executors. The first are the parry gods that just parry everything and do a ton of damage. His slash that he does after the parry is actually a skill, so it can be boosted by balancers and by skill attack power. So then running the character skill boosts attack but lowers damage negation. That could be good if you're the parry one. The other one that I've seen is really successful is when people are just like proccing status effects left and right as Executor. So his starting katana does bleed. You could put poison on it, and you could do chilling mist. Some people also run the Draglord relic to get rot on it, so then you can do all sorts of status ailments. The one that I don't really like playing with is the seppuku build for Executor with the Draglord relic, and I get it, you get a lot of power when you do it, but you spend so much time seppukuing yourself before the fight starts that your team has duoed for half the fight while you're over there like buffing yourself. I just think it's annoying. So as the other person on your team, I don't like playing with that kind of Executor. Undertaker, I also really don't like. If I were playing her, I would just focus on getting my ult as quickly as possible. I don't think any of her Undertaker specific relics are really that necessary, and I would run either skill Undertaker or jump attack, charge attack Undertaker. So same kind of advice applies as Wylder and Raider. And that's it. That's all I gotta say about relics. Thank you for watching. If you have questions, let me know in the comments and I'll get back to you. But this is basically how I evaluate relics when I make my decisions. Your most valuable skill as a teammate is not dying. So remember that when you put your relics together. And I'll see you in the next video.